problem with that is, yeah, and maybe I should structure it that way since we have a collaboration time for an hour, that the first 15 minutes is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Because the collaboration time has been, we've been told what to do,
Right.
and it's not any of those classroom management things,
Right.
or curriculum, or anything. It all has to do with reading scores.
Right.
So that's what we spend most of our time doing.
Yeah.
But I suppose we could say, okay, 15 minutes of this is going to be about, like we've had issues with a new teacher, a teacher's kid in class not getting the grade that the teacher thinks. And so, okay, how do you deal with that? So a teacher that works here came in to observe what was going on in the classroom. I'm like, wow, that's weird. I've never heard that. I hope that doesn't turn into a bad thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
So that's something we discuss. So I talked to, obviously Justin sits right there, so we get it, and he's a new teacher, so we get to talk about those things. I couldn't imagine being a new teacher and having a veteran teacher coming in and observing how you do class, and then wondering, well, is he evaluating how I'm evaluating his kid, or is it fair? Is it? But he's been fine. So no, but it's funny that you mentioned that because some of our best planning was in the hallways as we pass,
Yeah.
as opposed to, all right, let's sit down and talk about, well, it's not on my mind right now.
Yeah.
It's on my mind when I'm going, I'm like, oh yeah, we were going to do ropes.
Yeah.
I got to talk to Ryan and see how to go. Because you and I could plan and say, let's set it up. And then I would always ask you, and I had an advantage. Well, how'd this go? Well, this didn't work the way we wanted it to. Okay, I won't do that.
Yeah.
So you made, not the mistake, but you went through it and found out that didn't work.
Right.
And then Justin has been doing the CrossFit. Well, I'd never done CrossFit. So he has an idea, he tries to explain it to me, but there's a whole wealth of knowledge he has that I don't.
Right.
So he explains it, and he had it typed out for me, and I went in and did it. I didn't like how it went. Well, it's not because he did a poor job of explaining it, it's just, I just didn't understand.
Right.
And so I added stuff to it that made it, okay, now I'm comfortable with it.
Right.
I added a running, whatever it was, fit my personality and what my envision of them doing CrossFit. I want them exhausted at the end,
Yeah.
And I don't want to have 10 minutes at the end of class.
Right.
So anyway,
Yeah.
got off subject, sorry.
That's good.
But that was the same thing that we discussed, and it's all about the routine. How are you doing it? Because that's exactly the same thing. How is he doing CrossFit? How am I? I want to do it the same way.
Right.
So when I have his kids, I'm not teaching them something they've never known.
Right.
They never heard of.
Okay, so with what we call the Iowa or individual career development plan, what are the main goals from this proposed plan or strategy? I think we sort of hit on it, but culture I think was a big one. Changing sort of things that we didn't like. Were there other goals besides the culture piece?
Well, I think there were other goals, but to me, you and I and Kayleen wanted to establish, and especially you and I think, because we talked about it at length, is that we wanted not just a culture change, but a climate change. Meaning when they stepped into the gym, they knew that this isn't stand around and wait for 15 minutes before we get started, and then ask, hey, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
Every day. So we wanted to get away from that because that was just painful. Well, part of that just showed, oh, we didn't plan well. We need to have a calendar that says this is what we're doing. So you don't ever have to ask me that because you just got to go look in the calendar and there it is.
Yeah.
We still, in regular PE, because I have one of those classes, still have to do a better job of that. And it's probably no shock that it's my least favorite class, and partly because I've done less planning for that class. It's the only one I teach, because even middle school I do the strength and conditioning, so it's planned.
Right.
And so I'm more motivated
Yeah.
in class because I know exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing upper body today. We're doing lower body tomorrow. So it isn't guesswork. Well, why don't you just go do some reps? Go do some
Yeah.
curls. It's all planned out. So now kids will go and they'll go into the whiteboard and say, hey, what are we doing today? And there's a routine. And I have one class where there's 10 groups. So the odd numbered groups are on the racks and the even numbered groups are on the floor. So, to me, it's changed the culture and climate, but there's always, okay, to me, it's just almost a base. Now I wanna get to the point where kids are doing it and signing up because they see that other kids are becoming better at athletics or becoming stronger, or they enjoy going to class. I wanna be a part of that. I want that. I wanna be challenged, and I want that. So that would, to me, would be the next step, but that's about, I think it's done what we've wanted it to, um, at a certain level, and it can always be better.
Yeah, I think deeper, definitely. I mean, you'd like to get to the point where we talked about a lot of the learning stuff where they're, we're not forcing it on them. They're doing it because they want to do it. They see the value and the enjoyment.
Yeah.
And I think we've touched, some of those kids are recognizing that, but they obviously like to get more. When we looked at this, you hit a lot of the Iowa standards. Standard 1, which again deals with a lot of culture and climate management stuff, same with 6. 6B in particular establishes, communicates, models, and maintains standards of responsible student behavior. I think that was, cleaning up maybe some of the stuff that we were in bad routines or didn't have a routine, and this obviously is something that really helped change that. And then obviously the district and building goals, we always want to be proficient, not just reading math science, but we're looking towards becoming a more physically fit student. And I think that was a change based on previous approaches, was more leisure based, and we're trying to be more physical fitness based. So that was part of that culture and climate change as well.
The other thing that it did add is, as you were talking there, it made me think of part of a routine. I had told you that sometimes your class personality, you'll have a health class, just love having them in there, and then the next class, it's the exact same class, exact same curriculum, but a different class. So you approach things differently. And I still find that in the weight room, that kids that are unmotivated tend to influence me to be unmotivated as well. Well, the routines has helped me as well, because I'm like, that's what I did last hour, that's what we're doing this hour, whether you want to do it or not. And I don't want to fight you on it, but this is what we're doing, this is the curriculum. So the routines have helped me as well, not just the kids kind of go, okay, but me is just thinking, we're doing it the same way. So whether you want to be here or not doesn't matter. I've got this thing that we're covering, and I'm going to do it the same way. I might give you extra time, I might try to motivate you more, but I'm not going to allow the, I don't know how the kids feel, or if it's my lazy class or whatever, I'm not going to let them pull me down as much as maybe in the past without the routine.
Right. Yeah, I think it sort of not only gives them accountability, but I know it helped me, feel like, hey, this is what I have to do.
Yeah, that's it.
That I'm accountable, not just them to this routine, but hey, this is what we're doing, this is a
Yeah.
standard.
And now we're accountable to each other too.
Right.
Because I know that, hey, I've got to do it this way. I got to teach them the right way to squat, because when my kids get to Ryan in a year, 2 years, or 3 years, I'll be embarrassed if they don't know how to squat. Well, Henderson never taught us that. Okay, so that helps. I mean, it helps just knowing, okay, and I suppose that's what happens in the math department. Math 1, they're going to algebra or whatever, however it is, and we've worked together, and I say to you, Brian, have you done subtraction with these kids yet?
Yep.
So it's, when I send them on, I want them to know what's going on. When they get on the board, that's the way I look at it. And the board doesn't motivate everybody. We've talked about that. It doesn't motivate everybody, either board. Some kids, it motivates them in a negative way. But they know the standard to get up there is the same. Do not cheat.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and I think that's been great, and like you said, it doesn't motivate everybody, but our city is definitely motivate based on those numbers, whether it's pound for pound
or male, female,
Yeah,
or whatever. Even the females, that I shouldn't say it that way. Even the people that they know they can't bench 300, they can only